Hello, everybody. I hope you're well, and welcome back to Voice Notes with Jordan Theresa. Guys, good morning, everyone. I don't know when everyone will be listening to this because I am, in fact, usually these episodes go up on Spotify on 6 a.m. on a Monday and 6 p.m. on YouTube. Currently filming this at 9:30 on Monday, so running a little late to say the least. I'm giving myself a slap on the wrist for this. This will not happen again. It just wasn't working every single time I was recording last week. So I was like, I need to record this first thing on Monday. I've always been Miss Last Minute. Oh my God, Miss Last Minute. That is such a fun. Oh my God, DJ name alert, Miss Last Minute, bring to the stage, Miss Last Minute. It's so early in the morning, I feel, to be recording a podcast episode. It's 9:30, but how is everybody doing today on this very gloomy Monday morning? I'm trying to romanticize the autumn. We've got the pink warm light on. We've got my fresh candle burning. Everything is going to be okay. I really am not that much of an autumn winter hater, apart from the fact that it gets really gloomy, because I feel like I dress better in the autumn and winter. But how is everybody doing today? Is this the first episode I've recorded post my birthday? Yes, it is. Even though I'm recording this on Monday, all my birthday celebrations officially wrapped up. I've had a great birthday. It's been a very, very successful birthday. I had such a lovely weekend last weekend. I went for dinner with my family. I did some shopping. I got such a good haul. I had got some really lovely gifts. I'm going to upload a haul over on my TikTok, I think. But this was one of my gifts. Guys, look, it's Miffy. One of my gifts was Miffy, who's now going to be a staple in the pod. I need to find a place to put her so you guys can see her. Because she is, oh my God. Sorry, I literally put her on and I was like, oh my God, perfect. And you literally can't see her at all. This is the thing. I don't have a headboard. I have one of those, I guess it's a floating bed. I love my bed. I have a really low bed with a very simple wooden bed frame with a little bookcase in the front. It is so chic. But this is the thing. I don't have a headboard, so I can't even... You know what that'll do. But yeah, I got lovely gifts. I had a lovely birthday. I ate so much good food. I went to Elliot's for dinner. I had a roast. I had Mexican food with my family. I just had such a lovely birthday. And thank you all so much for your birthday wishes. I'm so grateful. I had such a nice birthday. And then on Friday, I went out for Halloween. I went out to Fold. By the way, I would like to say on Halloween, I don't think I've ever looked better. I was dressed as a sexy devil. And honestly, guys, I know that I suffer from high levels of self-esteem, but this was on a different level. I was walking around I look great. I had a great time. I will say I was very tired because I hadn't really eaten properly all day. And I don't like to eat loads before a night out because, have I shared this before that I sorry, it's so stupid. I get quite bad toilet anxiety. I can use public toilets and everything, but I get toilet anxiety about not having access to a toilet. And nightclub, first of all, I don't want to be pooping in the nightclub. Come on. But I nightclub toilets famously very long queues. So I don't know whether this is bad because I will say on average, I think I go on maximum 2 nights out a month. I probably on average go on 1 night out a month. As in when I go to a ravey night out, I go to the bar a lot, but when I go on a ravey night out, where I'm out till 7, 8 a.m. I will take an Imodium before because I just want to plug myself up and not think about having to use the bathroom. So that's why I don't like to eat a lot before a night out. But yeah, no, so I felt like I was just, by 5:30, I was flagging. But also I've had so much work on this past 3 weeks. That Friday was as in Friday, it was Halloween. It was the representation of everything was done. So I think that I was just a bit exhausted, but I had such a good night out on Friday. I love Fold. Orla was so good. I'm actually going to download one of her sets to listen to because I thought that it was so good. Also, oh my God, I forgot to say, not to put my presents on a pedestal because I got many lovely gifts from which I'm so grateful for. Got some lovely gifts from my girlfriends, got some lovely gifts from Jack, got some lovely gifts from Here, There and Everywhere. But perhaps not the most exciting, but the gift where I'm my parents got me some decks. So the original plan was I was going to use my Vinted balance because I've made guys, I can't believe I made like 700 quid on Vinted. And like, I don't even sell my stuff for that expensive. I have like, they sponsored me, which is why I listed a bunch of stuff. And honestly, I'm so glad they sponsored one of my videos because I needed like the motivation, the drive to like put some things on Vinted because I'm such a bad procrastinator and faffer. But I had this massive bag of clothes to sell. And of course you put like a few like expensive bits on there. Like I put like a couple pairs of shoes and like a bag here and there, but like most of my stuff was under £10. Most of it sold between like 5 and 8, and I made 700 quid and I was absolutely gassed. And so the plan was I was going to spend that £700 on getting the decks, the speakers, headphones, all this. My parents ended up getting me the decks, so all I need to do is get speakers. I also need to order, because I'm planning on either putting them there or over there, but I need to get a little desk and basically like measure, because it needs to sort of like come up to like, I guess here. I need to figure out what is most comfortable for me. And I need to get like a little desk. And yes, guys, I'm going to start DJing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have someone who's teaching me, but also my hairdresser, actually, he recommended, because he did a course at like the London School of Electronic Dance Music or London School of Electronic Music, one of those. And he said he went on like a 3-month course. It was like once a week after work. And he said it was so good. But this is the thing. It's almost like a slightly overwhelming hobby to start, because it's like you basically have to like build up a USB of music, and like you have to basically build up this whole like catalog of music. And like most people have been building their music since they were teenagers, and obviously I'm starting at 27, so it feels like slightly daunting. But I have someone who is going to load up a USB of songs which have a similar BPM, just so I can practice mixing whilst I load up my own USB. Yeah, guys, I'm gassed. I'm so excited. And you know what? It feels really good to pick up a hobby. This is sort of this is going to be like related to what we're discussing in today's episode. But I am on this very big drive at the moment to it's not even necessarily mean reduce my screen time, because obviously I spend a lot of time on my phone doing work stuff, messaging friends, stuff like that. I don't actually think phone always equals bad. But I've definitely gotten into some really bad phone habits recently of just like mindlessly scrolling. Again, we're going to get into it. And I feel like a part of that problem came in when, I've always been like obviously a phone user, social media user, but when YouTube, which was my hobby, became my job, I didn't have a replacement hobby for that. And this thing, I'm so lucky that my hobby became my job. Like I'm forever grateful. But obviously in turn, I didn't have like a replacement hobby. And I've tried so many things. Do you know what I mean? I've tried crocheting, I've tried knitting, I've tried drawing, I've tried pole, I've tried exercise, I've tried running, I've tried everything, and nothing was like clicking for me. I didn't enjoy anything. I found it boring. And that's the thing. The only thing that I did actually really like was pole, but pole is so expensive that it just like I could not maintain it. But you guys know me. Techno music especially, is what I really like. So I'd be really surprised if I didn't end up really enjoying this. Like, you know when like you go on the tube, and I feel like everyone has their little things to do on the tube, whether it's like reading a book or watching a TV show or watching a YouTube video. Mine is my decompression time is putting my headphones in and listening to like an hour-long set on my way to work. Like that is like my decompression time. And I like listening to the same set like 4 or 5 times. So like I'll usually pick a different set every week, I'd say, because I like to pick out what stuff I like the sound of, what stuff I don't like the sound of. Like it's just something that I feel very engaged in. So I would be really surprised if I didn't end up like really liking DJing. And this is the thing, the good thing about decks is that they don't really reduce in value. So you can, unless they're damaged, like you can sell them like very easily. But I don't want to think about already selling my decks. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But it feels really good to pick up a hobby again, especially being as I'm on my little drive to stop using my phone so much. But what am I up to this week? What is everyone else up to this week? I'm so curious. I feel like it's like we're in that liminal space. I guess for Americans it's like Thanksgiving season, but for like everyone else this is like the liminal space between Halloween and Christmas. Perfect time to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, Night Before Christmas. I've actually never seen that film before, but sorry, I'm like really rambling today. But what I'm up to this week is, guys, let me know if you guys want this. Well, let me know if you guys want this. I will be doing this. But I am going to be doing a little weekly vlog this week. Don't hold me to it because I may give up halfway through. If you don't know me, I love a weekly vlog. They are lifestyle videos are actually my favorite videos to watch. Like way over like video essays, podcasts, stuff like that. I love watching weekly vlogs, and I like watching fashion videos, but like I think fashion videos, I have to really like the way the person dresses to watch them. Like for example, my friend Susie makes like the best fashion videos ever. Susie Lola, if you don't know, get to know. And she also does vlogs as well, which I love. But I am such like a weekly vlog stan. I'm especially like, I love vlogs where the person is just working and they're having like a fairly normal week, but like with exciting stuff in between. I find vlogs of like when people go to fashion shows really boring, but I think that's just not really because I'm just not into high fashion like that. But sorry, I'm getting distracted. I absolutely love weekly vlogs. So I want to do one of my own. Especially because I want to log this week of me trying to change and break my habits when it comes to my phone usage, which again, this is what this entire episode is about. But I am going to upload the vlogs onto the Voicenotes channel. I hope that's okay. Because the thing is, you guys, I feel like you guys could get down with some lifestyle stuff, but if you don't want to watch it, that's like totally fine. But yeah, so I'm going to be weekly vlogging this week, trying to change my phone habits. But also this week, I feel like it's like two exciting things are happening. Number one, me and Jack are doing a living room makeover. This is big. This is big for us. Again, this is all going to be in the vlog, so feel free to watch the vlog. Also, some of you guys requested for me to start vlogging, so like, I really hope that you guys like it, because again, like I said, I want to pick up more hobbies, and I have always loved doing YouTube as a hobby. Come here. I've always loved doing YouTube as a hobby, so I think it will be really nice to like do these weekly vlogs where I am just doing it for the love of the craft. For the love of the craft, guys. Sorry, I feel like I'm being a bit weird this morning. I'm so sorry. I think this is the first time I've strung a sentence together this morning. So me and Jack are doing a living room makeover. It's all going to be in the vlog. But basically our living room, our home is really beautiful, and I feel very lucky. But our living room, it's very white. It's very white. We have white walls, light flooring, and a lot of the furniture that's in there is stuff which I moved over from my old apartment, which was grey. So like I basically had like white and grey. I know that sounds like very crushed velvet of me. By the way, I did used to have a crushed velvet headboard when I was a beautician. I back crushed velvet headboards sometimes, but it was a crushed grey velvet headboard as well. Anyways, so I am not above a bit of crushed velvet, don't get me wrong, but I used to have like a grey and white living room in my old place with like a lot of colour in, and now we want to just make everything a lot warmer. So we ordered new sofa covers. So did you guys know that for IKEA sofas, you can order sofa covers and take the covers off, like personalised sofa covers. Sorry, Boots is being so noisy right now. Personalised sofa covers. So we ordered like a nice khaki green, which is so like beautiful, warm. And then we're ordering a new rug. Jack's ordered a new table and chairs, and then there's another thing that we've ordered and I can't remember. Oh yeah, and we've gotten these framed pictures for above the sofa because there's a lot of blank space. And at first we were going to order like this really big print, and we just couldn't find a print big enough without, having to pay like upwards of $1,000. And this is the thing, is that as much as me and Jack don't like to think about when we will not live together, we don't talk about those times of the possibility that we may not live together. I shudder at the thought. But one day, maybe me and Jack may not live together anymore. So when it comes to things like buying things, a lot of the time when it comes to furniture, we will just buy something and we'll be like, oh, this is ours. Like this, this belongs to us. Like this belongs to us, this belongs to me. Therefore, when we do move out, I'll take this with me. So like Jack's buying new table, new chairs, he'll take that with him. The sofa's mine, I'll take that with me. The armchair's mine. You guys get the drift. But I think the thing with a big piece of art is that neither one of us wanted to spend the money on it. Like neither one of us wanted to spend the money, because all of the art that I liked, Kitty, my best friend Kitty, she has this beautiful art piece. She has a couple actually from the Slim Aaron's gallery, and I love it. And a lot of it is like holiday, beaches, swimming pools, and I love art like that. I like even though I'm actually someone who I don't really love beach holidays that much, I can maximum do beach holiday for about 5 days before I start like scratching at the walls and getting so bored. That's why like when I go on a beach holiday, I have to be moving around constantly. But I like love art that features like swimming pools and beaches. Like I think it's like probably, I'm assuming it's like a British thing. The fact that like, you know, the weather's pretty miserable here most of the time. It's not normal to see swimming pools that often. This art is really beautiful. And I was like, you know what, I'm willing to spend a pretty penny on some art like that and like to get it properly framed and everything. And Jack was basically like, I don't like it. But then the ones that Jack would point out, I didn't like, but Jack didn't like it enough to want to get it himself and keep it for the future, if that makes sense. So we were at a crossroads. We were a little stumped on what to do with that above piece. But anyway, so I'm scrolling through like just like a random art print website. Come in. And I find, see, it sounds tacky, but if you go on the vlog, I promise they are really, really nice. I found these like zodiac prints, and I noticed that they basically came in packs of, you could get them individually, but they also came in packs of 2. And to be fair, now that I'm thinking about it, it was probably in year order, as in like order of zodiac signs, and me and Jack are born a week apart, so it does kind of make sense. But Libra and Scorpio were together, and I was like, this is meant to be. This is meant to be. It's a sign. Libra and Scorpio are together, and the colours really match the living room as well. We're going for a lot of warmth. So we've got the khaki. Jack's table is like a really warm wood. We're going for a lot of warmth. So we've got like the warm brown table. We've got the khaki, and there's like a little bit of red in the print. And then once everything is up, we're then going to decide what rug to get, because Jack was looking at this sort of sage green rug. But because we've got a bit of green in our fireplace, I was like, I think it's going to actually be too much green. Like we can't go from doing too much white and beige to too much green. But yeah, so we had these 2 prints, Scorpio, Libra. And then this is the thing, it was, I think with like when you get prints, like if you're doing like the vertical prints, you gotta do 3. There was space for 3. And then I was like, oh, like what other, because we were just having a look and we were just gonna pick what poster was like looked the nicest. So we're like having a look and we're like, like what looks like, And then we were like, wait a minute, Boots is a Gemini. Making me a Gemini. Boots is a Gemini. Oh God, I can't remember her birthday off the top of my head. I know, bad cat mum. Honestly, you guys, I'm so sorry, but Boots is a Gemini. So we got a Gemini print as well, and we've got frames for them, and we're going to have someone come over to hang up the pictures and also mount our mirror, because me and Jack trying to nail things into the wall. Yeah, no, it's not looking good. But that is what we're doing this week, and I'm so excited because we've been living in this place for a year, and I feel like when you move somewhere, it takes a year for you to like settle in until you can start like, okay, what are things in the house that we want to change, etc. So that's the number 1 exciting thing I'm doing. The number 2, that's not in order, by the way, that's just like the second exciting thing I'm doing is, guys, to be fair, I actually need to check with my manager that this is definitely happening before I start like getting gassed about it on the internet. But I'm going on my baby's first brand trip on Friday. I'm actually shocked. I've never been invited on a brand trip ever. If you don't know me, I don't go to a ton of like influencer events or anything. Honestly, I don't always like them. There are certain influencer events that I do really like. So like, for example, Jack hosted a reading with Substack. It was like a Halloween spooky reading at the old operating theatre, and it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I was hooked. The venue was so cool and spooky. I love a little themed event, and I got to meet so many amazing writers, and everyone that did the everyone that did the readings did such an amazing job. And also, you know what me and Jack were talking about that we absolutely loved about that event? Finished at 9 p.m. What a perfect time to finish an event. Like you can always tell that influencer events are for influencers, because why is your event finishing at 11:30 on Tuesday? I've got work to do. It's not funny. I've got skill. It finished at 9 p.m. and I absolutely loved it. The things that I'm not always huge on is I don't really like going to premieres that much. I still haven't been to a premiere that I liked. I just find them so overwhelming. Yeah, I'm just like not a huge influencer events person, but this is with Now TV and I absolutely love Now TV. Guys, I have a Now TV subscription. Like I had a Now TV subscription for years before they worked with me. I've been working with them on the release of All My Fault, which is starring Queen Sarah Snook, and I have been working on a reel with them for it, and then it launches on Friday. So I'm going to, like, guys, I literally cannot believe my luck. Like I'm going to like a bougie hotel and I get to stay in a hotel, like a bougie hotel. And this thing, I was a bit nervous about going on my own, but my manager sent me the list of people that are going, and I don't know anyone there that well, but I have met 2 people who are going. So like I feel relieved. The best events that I have found is I once went to a Shopify dinner like 3 years ago, and it was actually one of my favorite events that I've gone to because they filled the room with a bunch of people that didn't know each other. And I just think that is the best thing to do. Nothing is worse than going to an influencer event where everyone knows each other and it is literally so awkward. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm going to vlog it. She's going to vlog, guys. But yes, shall we do... I've written thoughts of the week down, but I'm trying to remember what I wrote down as my thoughts of the week. Sorry. I've had one thought of the week this week, and it is I haven't stopped thinking about the guy I saw walking down the steps 2 at a time. Guys, I was on the overground the other day, and I was getting off at my stop, and the stop is like fully outside, and it was raining. This is like, I need to like to just paint the picture here, the really important details. It was pissing it down with rain. The weather has been awful in the UK recently, so it was pissing it down with rain. And the thing is with the overground, if you don't live in London, unlike the tube, which usually comes very regularly, like every 2 to 3 minutes, love TfL, by the way. I'm not sure whether I've ever expressed my true love for our public transport system on the pod before, but it is like genuinely one of the things that I'm so proud of being from this country. Not to be fair, being from this country, that is crazy because like obviously outside of London, the prices of trains, we need to renationalise the railways anyways, but I'm very proud about living in London because the public transport system is so amazing. But unlike the underground, which comes usually every 2 to 3 minutes, the overground usually comes between 5 to 10 minutes. So if you just miss it, you could be waiting in the pissing rain for 10 more minutes. And especially it depends where you go because the overground terminates at different locations. So you could be waiting up to 20 minutes for a new train if you miss it. So I understand the urgency. I understand rushing, but guys, I was terrified. This man, first of all, he missed the overground, but he was running down the steps in the rain, going 2 at a time. He doesn't fear anything. He doesn't fear anything. So that's literally all I had for my thought of the week. I'm pretty sure I wrote another one down, but I don't think I put it in a thoughts of the week file. What did I do? I guess to be fair, this isn't even really a thought because I am going to flesh out an entire episode about this. So please let me know if you guys want to see an entire episode about this. But girlies, we need to stand up and stop saying that we have the winter uglies. No, girls. Like I'm not going to get super into this because I want to make an entire episode about this. But I have seen so much on social media, these beautiful women, and just so many women I'm seeing, young women talking about this concept of the winter uglies, which is basically like essentially quote unquote being uglier in the winter, you know. And I don't know what is the source of that. I'm assuming maybe it's because like people don't have as much of a tan, or people aren't, you know, I feel like in the summer it's like prime time for beauty treatments. When I was a beautician, my busiest season was easily the summer. But girls, please, we need to stop saying that we're ugly. Like, it makes me so sad. It makes me sad especially because I think something which really snapped me out of my, you know, when I was about 23 to 25, I'd say, I had like the lowest self-esteem I think I've ever had in my life, and I used to just call myself ugly constantly. And I think something that really snapped me out of it was, I think a couple of years ago I ended up looking back on those pictures of like when I thought that I was so hideous and ugly, and I actually looked beautiful. And it is like truly the saddest thing when you realize how much time you waste thinking that you're ugly. And this is the thing, I'm not free from this now. Do you know what I mean? I had an absolute diva tantrum over my hair this morning. Like, I was not loving my hair, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to have to shoot this Now TV ad, and I don't feel good, and I look ugly and all this. I'm not free from this, but guys, I feel like I feel like it's just like not a good thing to post on the internet that like this concept of winter uglies, like because we haven't got a fresh tan and we haven't got fresh nails or a fresh wax, it doesn't mean that we're ugly girls. It doesn't mean that we're ugly. We're going to get into that another day, but just know that the winter uglies are a myth. And this is the thing, is that I feel like it sends messages to people where it's like winter uglies, and then all of a sudden you like pick up on this concept of the winter uglies and you start thinking that you have the winter uglies. No, we're not doing that here, you guys. The winter is for coziness and joy and, eating loads of good food and being able to stay in a little more often because you don't want to pay £4 to check your coat into the cloakroom at the club. Cozy vibes. Sorry, Boots is being so noisy. Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot what we were talking about. But shall we do a little, what's so funny? I feel like I'm talking faster and faster as this episode goes on because I took my ADHD medication like an hour ago, and I'm literally like, it's beginning to kick in. But shall we do a little outfit of the day? I've gone for a little all black. Well, okay, it's not really an all black moment, but this feels very wintry. This feels very like casual, cool. I really like it. I'm wearing two new pieces. The first is a top from a brand called Of Planet Earth. I'm not sure if I've actually worn the other top. I have this in grey and I'm absolutely obsessed. This is in like, you can't really see, but it's basically like a black and very dark grey stripe. I love an off the shoulder top, and I feel like it's just so flattering, like so sexy. And I feel like whenever I'm having a bad hair day, when in doubt, wear an off the shoulder top. Like when in doubt, wear an off the shoulder top, because that's when I feel the most confident. And then I got these bottoms. I'm so obsessed with these. So when I went shopping on my birthday, the first place I went to was Vivien's vintage showroom in Dalston, which is so good, by the way. She has probably one of the best selections of vintage. And I've been looking for a pair of Adidas tracksuit bottoms like this for such a long time. I have a pair of Adidas tracksuit bottoms, but they have that like slight sheen to them that I'm not huge on. And I'm not gonna lie, they're not the most flattering. I can't really I feel like with tracksuit bottoms, it's very easy to elevate a pair of tracksuit bottoms and to make them look like a part of a good outfit. Those were like scruffy the house down. Like those were so scruffy. But these are really nice because they're slightly slimmer fit. They're basically like yoga pants, the Adidas tracksuit bottoms, and they're like super soft material. I haven't ran them through the washing machine yet, but I'm just really, really like them. I'm really happy with them. And I've got a really cute outfit on today. And just before we get into today's episode, if you are someone who wants even more voice notes content, it can't be, but if you're one of the very few people that somehow wants to listen to more of me, there is bonus content over on my Substack, the Voice Notes with Jordan Theresa Substack. We do have some content which is available for everyone. We have a few articles that go alongside the episodes, a few written articles. I like to scratch up on my writing skills on there, but also I'm pretty active on notes over there. But if you are someone who wants bonus episodes, there are bonus episodes for paid subscribers. I say this every single time I promote the Substack, that of course it is absolutely no pressure. I love everyone. I love everyone. It's like totally fine if you don't want to subscribe. But if you are someone who wants some bonus voice notes content, I tend to cover topics on there which would get flagged on youtube.com. So I have 3 bonus episodes on there at the moment. We have one about Sydney Sweeney. We have one about Bonnie Blue. Most recently, we've spoken about J.K. Rowling, Emma Watson, Harry Potter adults, this sort of age-old question of separating the art from the artist. And I just love being over there. I love Substack. I love talking to you guys. We also have a group chat. And recently, I mean, I've been doing this all the time, but I feel like recently people are getting so involved and it's making it so fun, is we do bonus monthly live streams. And I absolutely love being able to talk to you guys properly. And that's honestly like one of my favorite parts, is doing the live streams, which I'm really surprised because I think live streaming can be a bit nerve-wracking. And I think it might have been my second one that I feel like not a lot of people were talking. So I was getting like really nervous because I felt like I was just talking to myself. But I mean, to be fair, I do that every day anyway. But we have a lot of fun over there. So if you are someone who you want some bonus content, subscribe to the Substack. But of course, no pressure if not. So in today's episode of Voice Notes with Jordan Theresa. I want to talk all about trying to reverse my brain rot. I want to talk about breaking my phone addiction, and I want to start this week. I want to start today. I feel like it's not a bad idea to start this at a random time of year because I feel like we can get a head start on sort of a New Year's resolution. I can imagine that many people's New Year's resolutions are to reduce their screen time, break their phone addiction, etc. But I do find that waiting until New Year's, for me anyway, is just another form of procrastination. I had a little bit of a moment where I was like, why shall I wait 2 more months? This isn't making me happy. I should start today. But obviously you guys can, this isn't necessarily even a guide because I haven't started. This is more like I am documenting the beginning of my journey of trying to reverse my brain rot and break my really bad habits with my phone. I have come to the conclusion, not even recently, I've known this for a very long time, that I do have an addiction with my phone. It's nothing terrible, I will say. This is the thing, is that I know that some people have it a lot worse, as in like with their phone addictions. I don't think saying screen time is always the most helpful thing, because obviously people do use their phones for different things. My screen time is currently at about 5.5 hours a day, and I have always had a desire to spend less time on my phone. I've always wanted to reduce my screen time, but recently it's come to a bit of a head because, as I mentioned in this episode, I had a really busy 2-3 weeks in October with work. I was still sort of dealing with a little bit of the backlog of when I was in hospital getting my appendix out, and I was dealing with a little bit of the kickback from that still, that I just had this insanely busy 2 weeks with work. And I feel like this was the first month in quite a while that I had a particularly bad screen time month. Again, nothing bad. It did average to about 5 hours a day, but when you look at the days individually, I barely spend any time on my phone on the weekends, that I basically managed to bring the average down. So on one of the days I spent nearly 8 hours on my phone, and I was like, yep, I need to put my foot down. This isn't okay. And the reason why I think it came to a particular head when I have work stress is the only thing that I not even necessarily want to do, but can be bothered to do when I get home from doing a lot of work, is just to sit and mindlessly scroll on my phone. A lot of people are sort of coming to this conclusion that they want to reduce their screen time, specifically reduce their social media usage. And annoyingly, I actually saw a TikTok about this. What a shock. She saw a TikTok. I should just lie and say I read an article, but I saw a TikTok about this, about how potentially the social media bubble is about to burst. I know a lot of people talking about the AI bubble, but apparently the social media bubble may be about to burst. Social media usage is down nearly across the world for the first time in over 10 years. The only country in the world where social media usage is on the increase is in North America, which doesn't surprise me at all. So everybody is feeling this desire to get off their phone and spend less time rather on social media. And I want to treat this episode almost as a beginning point. I'm also going to be vlogging this week as well and documenting my journey of trying to reduce my screen time, which will also be uploaded onto the Voicenotes YouTube channel if you're listening on Spotify. Many of you guys told me when I put a call out on my story, which by the way, if you want to be involved in future episodes, my Instagram is @Jordan Theresa. I asked you guys over on there for lots of tips and advice, which I'm going to be sharing, but something which cropped up a lot was so many of you guys said, you can't go cold turkey. You can't just delete all the apps. It's not going to work. And I agree. So in this episode, I want to try and essentially get to the bottom of why I have this phone addiction and how best I can break it. I want to discuss my relationship with my phone, my lifestyle and job, and how that affects my phone usage, why I think I use my phone the way that I do, and most importantly, the relationship I want to have with my phone and what I believe are going to be the most actionable steps to achieve that. So some quick background on myself. I am 27. I have been using social media. Honestly, if Stardoll and Club Penguin counts as social media, I've been using social media for as long as I can remember. But I remember I started using Twitter when I was about 11. I got an Instagram account when I was 13. I actually never had Facebook. My mum wouldn't let me get a Facebook because she thought I'd get into fights with people, which to be fair, she's not true. I was such a rowdy little teenager. But I didn't have Facebook, but I did have BBM. And I've been using social media essentially for my entire teen years. At the moment, I would probably say my go-to social media apps are TikTok and Instagram, but also that isn't necessarily the whole of my phone usage, my screen time usage. A lot of my screen time does go to messaging people on WhatsApp, messaging people on WhatsApp. It sounds so stupid, but it is like the most European thing in the world. I message group chats a lot. I message Instagram group chats a lot. I'm a very bad replier, but obviously I use my messages for work, stuff like that. I don't have like a Slack or anything. I just use WhatsApp for work. And I will say, I'd probably say maybe my biggest blocker when it comes to trying to break my phone addiction is the fact that I have to keep Instagram and TikTok on my phone for work. And I don't even necessarily want to use this as an excuse, but I feel like it's like important to like factor these things in when you're trying to break your phone addiction and like being realistic. So for example, I know I have to keep Instagram and TikTok on my phone to post. I have to post things on my Instagram. I'd post things on my Instagram story, promote things on my Instagram story. On TikTok, I have to film things in the app because when you film in the app, it actually tends to perform a little better. When you do captioning within the app, it tends to perform a little better. Also, I guess I do have to stay like kind of in the loop with like current pop and internet culture, but also that can very easily be done on a desktop. There's a lot of publications that focus a lot on like internet culture, like Dazed, Refinery 29. So there is definitely a way to keep in the loop with that, Teen Vogue, without having to be on TikTok and Instagram. But I will say TikTok and Instagram, I keep it on my phone, not for quote unquote research purposes. I actually keep it on my phone to post. If I had it my way, I probably would delete Instagram and TikTok off my phone and just have it on an iPad or just use it on my desktop. But unfortunately, I just can't do that. If I was to delete and only re-download when I wanted to post something, and I'd probably say I post on average maybe every day or every other day, I would probably end up spending more time on my phone, re-downloading the app, logging back in. Obviously, everything's like triple factor authenticated or whatever. That like I would just be spending ages and I'd be wasting time on my phone. I do believe that there is nuance to this. What a shock, guys. I'm such a nuanced stan. I'm a nuanced stan, but I am not a 100% phone hater or even a 100% social media hater. There are things that I like and dislike about both, which figuring out what things I like about social media and what things I dislike about social media and using my phone has helped me figure out what essentially I'm going to call my phone behaviors, what phone behaviors I want to reduce versus what phone behaviors I don't really mind, because it's not like I don't ever want to use Instagram or TikTok again. I actually like them both as apps. I especially love posting. How life feels when you post a photo dump on Instagram. Like it just, and again, when I was doing, I think it was my video about iPhone phase, how these social media companies and these apps do prey on your narcissism. Like maybe this is like a weirdly narcissistic thing that I do just love posting a photo dump. Shall we talk about what I enjoy about using my phone? So I'd probably say maybe my number one thing is I love talking to my friends. I'm a terrible replier, but I do love getting locked into a conversation with someone. I love when the group chat gets locked into a political debate. I really, really love being able to contact my friends at any point. Like I do think that is great. I love sending voice notes and I love, what else do I do? I love calling people. Me and one of my best friends, Herbie, he's living in Spain at the moment. He's traveling around in Spain. So we have a weekly call and we call each other once a week and we have a catch up and it's just great. I actually need to call him today. I'm going to text him right now just to remind myself. This is going to sound like such an old person sentence, but guys, love some funny videos and memes. I love some funny videos and memes. Where would I be without saying, today drained me? I also love using my phone and social media for outfit inspiration. I probably find all of my fashion inspiration, as much as I, criticize TikTok and the fact that it accelerated the trend cycle to a certain extent. I find that watching more long form fashion content, again, like my friend Susie's videos at Susie Lola, love her. That's where I get most of my fashion inspiration inspiration, and that's how I discover. This is the thing, is that it's not necessarily fashion inspiration. I find the small brand discoverability on social media is so good. I've discovered so many amazing small brands through social media. I also love using social media to discover new music. Again, I would probably say I don't actually discover that much music on TikTok anymore. I used to discover loads of music on TikTok. Now I would say that I mostly use YouTube. I follow like nearly all of my favorite DJs on Instagram, and then I listen to like a new set every week on YouTube. If you're someone who you want to get into listening to like techno music, download YouTube Premium. It's so good. I think it's like literally like £6-7 a month, and you can download full YouTube videos, so you can like listen to them on the tube and stuff, and it doesn't drain your battery because they're already downloaded. And I think that's another thing that made me want to almost slow down with like my phone usage. And essentially, oh my god guys, I'm slow maxing. I saw a TikTok about slow maxing. I've told you guys about it before, and I just thought it was genius. I want to like slow down a lot in my life. I feel like everything is so fast paced, and I think something that really like helped like fuel this desire to slow down was listening to full sets. Like some of the sets that I listen to are like 2 hours long, and I just like having that like dedicated time. You know, I'll be doing something, just listening to a full set through. Like I feel like it's like really like fired up this desire to like consume things more slowly, even though the music that I'm listening to is certainly not slow. Like I love listening, like my favorite genres are techno and hard house, so like these are like poundy sets, but I just love it. I just love it. And I think what I like about it especially is I like listening to them a few times, because you begin to pick out the things that stand out to you in the music that you like and the sounds that you like. And also you like picking out the things that you don't like. And I think what I like challenging myself is that there are certain songs, like for example in a set that I don't like, and instead of skipping forward, I'll still listen to it in full and try and pick out something that I do like about the song. And I also, when it comes to social media, I love lifestyle content. Also, I love, I discover so many interesting think pieces on TikTok. There's so many just geniuses on TikTok that I love discovering, like different think pieces. It gives me obviously so much inspiration for videos, but I honestly, like above everything, I do absolutely love lifestyle content. I love watching vlogs. I love watching vlogs on TikTok. There's a thing, I see so many like really great vloggers on TikTok, but I think I hate the feeling of like holding my phone and like scrolling through that. I just think, guys, if you vlog on TikTok, can you please repurpose it and put it onto YouTube so I can just sit in my bed and like put my laptop on and watch it. But shall we get into what I dislike about my phone / what I think are the negative effects that my phone addiction has had on myself as a person? So I think the big thing is that my phone, especially social media apps which work on For You algorithms, which is literally all of them now. So TikTok, Instagram Reels, Twitter. I find that these For You algorithms, where the content is served to you, has made me so lazy in choosing what to watch. And in fact, I think it's actually made my decision paralysis a lot worse, because I've become so accustomed to having content served to me. I have mentioned in this episode, but I feel like an important context is I do have ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD like 2 years ago. And I do have the ADHD where my inattentiveness can be quite bad and my decision paralysis can be quite bad. And I truly do believe, because I have always been like this, I've always had decision paralysis for as long as I can remember. I've always struggled to concentrate. I've always struggled with putting things off to the last minute, stuff like that. I've always struggled with that. But my phone has made it so much worse. Another thing that I hate that the effect that my phone has had on me is that I always slip into using it when I feel any ounce of boredom, when I'm trying to fill any sort of empty mental space, like headspace, and whenever I just want to be stimulated. I think a habit which I hate is how much I realized I was mindlessly using my phone. Like, as in, I would go to reply to someone, and next thing you know, I was like on Instagram stories, and I didn't even realize that I was doing it. So I think that's like particularly what I hate, is these like mindless mindless habits I've gotten into in my phone. This like almost scrolling routine that I had in the morning that I would just do automatically without even thinking. Like when I do my makeup, I do like to take, like when I like powdered everything, I like to just take a little break and like sit for a couple of minutes, because honestly doing your makeup is so bloody exhausting sometimes. And I found that I would just immediately pick up my phone, and I'm just like, no, Jordan, be bored, experience boredom. I actually have watched a couple of videos and listened to a couple of podcast episodes about reducing screen time. One of them was from someone called, I believe her name is Alex Zen. I could be wrong. I will put like a link to her podcast episode in the description. And it's actually funny because I actually wrote this script before. I watched her podcast episode last night, and I actually wrote this script before doing that. And it's funny because she actually touches on like a lot of similar things to which I'm touching on in this episode. And one of those things is that she said she wanted to get to the root of why she uses her phone. And that's what I wanted to get to the root to as well. I was like, I think the most important thing with trying to break this addiction is, why do I use my phone the way that I do? So Alex mentioned in their video that they use it almost as a form of escapism, particularly when they're in like a poor mental headspace, or they're in not the best emotional state. Their phone usage goes up. Mine is either for like entertainment, to just like fill the space, when I'm really tired after work and I can't be bothered to like choose a TV show, I'll just scroll on my phone. But that is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing that I use my phone for is to procrastinate. For as long as I can remember, I have been the worst procrastinator. I am honestly queen of procrastinating. Obviously, getting my ADHD diagnosis and being able to take medication. I take medication about 4 times a week, has really, really helped the situation. Really, really helped the situation. Honestly, it's like changed my life being on medication. But I have been a procrastinator for as long as I can remember. Like I'm talking, I would be 6, 7 years old, leaving homework until the morning of. I would always leave everything until the last minute. Apart from being told that I talked too much, my other big thing that teachers always picked up on was that they said that I was clever, but I never applied myself, because I would always leave everything until the last minute. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Guys, for my GCSEs, which I did not do very well in, my GCSEs, I left nearly all of my revision, bar religious studies, because my teacher used to scare the fucking shit out of me. I left all of my revision until the night before, sometimes even the morning of. That's right, guys, revising for my GCSEs. I would always just procrastinate, leave it to the last minute, push it off, be like, oh, I'll do it after this, I'll do it after this. And the next thing you know, the entire day is gone. So that is like the big thing that I use my phone for, is to procrastinate. If I want to record a podcast, I love recording these episodes, right? I still procrastinate from recording them unless I've taken my medication for the day. But when I was breaking down what I liked and disliked about my phone, I did quickly realize that I like using my phone and social media when I'm doing so intentionally. And it's the unintentional, mindless, automatic phone usage. The phone usage when I'm just procrastinating is the bad habit that I really, really want to break. And I think something especially, another bad effect, which I actually don't see a lot of people talking about when they talk about brain rot and social media usage. I feel like what people mention the most is their attention span. And obviously I feel like I have pretty good attention span, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things. But a lot of people talk about how they want to fix their attention span. They want to make their attention span better, and that's why they want to reduce their phone usage. I actually find something which has had more of a negative effect is I have the worst memory. I feel like my phone usage has impacted my memory so badly. I have really, really poor memory. And I think it's because, when you're used to, instead of watching, let's say you get home from work at like 7 p.m. and you want to watch, let's say you want to get into bed cozy at like 9:30, cook dinner, all this. So let's say you want to watch like 2 episodes of a TV show. Watching 2 episodes of a TV show versus scrolling through like 50 TikToks, what are you going to remember more of? Obviously the TV show, because it's going over a longer period of time. You're concentrating on one thing for longer. I cannot tell you how bad my memory has gotten since since my social media usage went up. And that's something that I really, really want to improve. This is another thing sort of tied in with the memory, is I think something that really like woke me up a bit was I was realizing the amount of time I spent on social media in comparison to what I could actually remember looking at on social media wasn't a lot. I could not, when I was spending, because I am trying to break the habit now, but when I wake up, I would spend half an hour scrolling on my phone. That is half an hour of my morning that I'm never going to get back. And I honestly never even remembered anything that I looked at on my phone, versus if you were to read 10 pages of a book, or if you're not a huge reader, if you were to like put a podcast episode on, that's talking about one thing for half an hour, you're going to remember that. You aren't going to remember the 30 TikToks that you scrolled on in the morning. I especially noticed that when I was going on TikTok and Instagram, I couldn't really remember a lot, but I could remember was when I engaged in long form content like YouTube videos, watching a TV show, reading a book, or listening to a podcast episode. I think the big thing is I just think that I have like come to the conclusion of the amount of time that I'm wasting on social media and on short form content. Again, it's not all bad. I like discovering music on TikTok. I like discovering small brands and clothes on TikTok. I like watching, I do like TikTok here and there. But I was realizing the amount of time I was wasting. And I feel like almost this, for me anyway, this whole thing of I don't have time, I just feel like it's a bit of a myth for me, because if I have time to spend 4 hours a day on my phone, and let's say an hour of that is dedicated to work, 3 hours a day on my phone, I have time to do other things. Like, I feel like something which is really motivating me to do this is I really want to write a book next year. I want to pitch my book. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll be able to pitch it this year because I've never written a book pitch before, but I want to write a book next year. I want to put all of my, not all of them, but a large part of my essays that I've uploaded onto YouTube, I want to repurpose them, revisit them, and basically put them into a book, because I feel like I just would love to, immortalize my work in that way. And I feel like it would also open a lot of doors for me. And also it would bring my writing and my thinking and I guess like my work to a new audience of people that would rather read a book of essays than watch video essays, etc. Sorry, oh my God, I'm doing so much yapping today. But I want to write a book this year, so I need to get my fucking act together. So, what goals do I want to achieve by decreasing my phone usage? So I don't actually necessarily have a specific screen time goal. I have actually read a few bits here and there, and a couple of you guys messaged me saying that, reducing screen time shouldn't be the be all and end all, because at the end of the day, we do use our phones to, to talk to friends. We can enjoy our time on social media. We can watch YouTube videos. It's not necessarily always about decreasing, reducing our screen time. But my sort of goal is I would love to just do a scroll on social media, maybe like 2 or 3 times a day. So I'd love to have like a little evening scroll, maybe a lunchtime scroll, maybe even a late morning scroll when I get to work. But a lot of you guys said to me, and this is something which I'm really holding out for and I'm hoping is true, but a lot of you guys said to me that the less you use your phone, the less you want to use it. And when you begin to break that habit, you then don't really have the desire to go back. Obviously, I want to increase my attention span. I want to have less of a desire and an itch to be constantly stimulated. / I want to be able to sit with my thoughts and experience boredom again. Boredom is what drives me to choose a TV show or a YouTube video to watch, and it really helps alleviate my decision paralysis. And I also want to improve my memory. So, as I said at the beginning of this video, I think there's 2 important things to make note of when trying to break your phone addiction. And if anybody else is coming along with me in this journey, please let me know. I'd love if we could do this together. And I will obviously log this in my vlog. I'll also log this maybe over on my Instagram too. But not only is it important to know what you like and dislike about your phone, what are your bad phone habits, why you use your phone, I think is a big thing. But also I think it's important to assess your lifestyle when deciding to pick up what tips and tricks to use. For example, as I just said, deleting and re-downloading apps whenever I want to use them doesn't work for me because I need to use social media to post, and therefore I actually think I'd be spending more time on my phone trying to, log back in, faff around with the factor authentication, etc. I also think another important thing to note when trying to break your phone addiction is there anything that can get you off your phone? So a big thing for me, the number one thing which can get me off my phone so easily is hanging out with my friends. Like when I hang out with my friends, I don't even touch my phone unless it's to check the time. I am so and that's why, as I said, my screen time is the lowest on the weekends when I'm seeing my friends, when I'm hanging out with my friends all day. And my screen time is the highest during the working week because I'm in my office by myself. And then when I go home, I'm usually by myself as well. And this is the thing, what also gets me off my phone is hanging out with my housemate. And this is the thing, I know that I'm capable of doing this because I once broke my phone addiction pretty well when I first got diagnosed with ADHD actually. And I went on, I believe it was methylphenidate, which I think it ended up sort of going a bit wobbly because I did have to come off the medication because it didn't work for me. Now I'm on a different medication. But I did manage to get my screen time down to about 3 hours a day. And when I got in from work, I'd immediately crack open a book and stuff like that. I would leave my phone in my bag. I asked you guys over on my Instagram for your best tips and tricks, and I'm going to be sharing them now, and obviously treat this comment section as a tips and tricks little share your best tips and tricks in the comment section too, because I really hope that we can go on this journey together, anybody who also has bad habits when it comes to their phone and wants to break them. So a few of you guys told me these are almost like a few tips to factor in before we begin our journeys. So remember these in our head, girls, when we go on our breaking our bad phone habits journey. You know what's so funny is I'm checking my phone as I'm recording this episode, which is another habit that I want to break, is constantly checking my phone. To be fair, it's for work and I'm just checking messages. I'm not social media scrolling, I swear. A few of you guys said to not to focus on getting your screen time down, as we have to use our phone for so many parts of our lives. And, even parts which you wouldn't necessarily think are brain rot, things like texting your friends, watching a YouTube video, being on FaceTime, sending a voice note, these do all contribute to your screen time. So don't be too hard on yourself if your screen time isn't necessarily reducing to half an hour a day, because at the end of the day, we have to use our phones for things. And again, I don't want to paint this episode as phones bad, because it really, really isn't the case. It's more that I want to have a healthier relationship with my phone. Another thing that a lot of you guys said is don't go cold turkey. Like any addiction, it's going to feel shit at first. It's really, really weird, the sort of effect that it has had on me as I've been trying to break it. I began sort of at the beginning of this weekend trying to break my phone addiction, and it is like this sense of restlessness that I feel. I feel really restless at the moment, and I do sort of have it's almost it's so weird, but I can feel it in my chest. I can feel in my chest this desire and this itch to go on my phone, but I'm fighting it, guys. And essentially treat breaking your phone addiction like you're training a muscle. It's going to be hard at first. It's not going to be easy straight away, but it is just something that you get used to. So getting into you guys' tips and tricks. A lot of you guys said this, and I absolutely love this tip. I would do this myself if I could, is deleting all of your social media apps on your phone and only using them on your desktop or iPad, which you leave at home. I did actually want to do this at first, but then I realized I had to keep all my social media apps on my phone for my job. But I actually think this is a great idea because it stops you from getting distracted on your phone, as in you'll go to reply to someone and the next thing you know, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok. And also I think it really helps compartmentalize your social media apps as somewhere you go to, not something that follows you around. I saw this tweet, it must have been over a year ago, and it has changed the trajectory of my life. And it was basically someone talking about how they miss the family computer. They miss when the internet was somewhere you would go, when the internet was a place. And now rather it's sort of inescapable. It's part of every single bit of our lives. And I think that putting your social media apps, almost putting your fun apps on an iPad, is a great way to compartmentalize, and it's a great way to stop you from scrolling in the middle of the day. A few of you guys downloaded some apps which basically limits your social media app usage. A few of you guys recommended 1sec. I used to have 1sec on my phone as well, but again, because I had to post on social media for my job, basically how 1sec works is you apply it to some of your apps, and what you do is when you click on them, it will throw you out of the app, basically set a 5-second timer, and then you decide whether to go in or go out. It's basically to stop you from essentially like automatically just like clicking on apps without even thinking. Again, didn't work for me because I do have to promote my work on social media, and it was just a massive pain in the ass. It ended up actually increasing my screen time. But also I've seen a few of you guys recommend Screen Zen, Opal. Apparently I haven't actually done proper research into these apps, so sorry, but apparently these apps, you can set basically time limits, as in like not only can you limit the time used on the app, which you do on your Apple iPhone anyway. Oh my god, okay, Apple iPhone. But also you can set like time windows of when you can use your social media app. So if you don't want to use any social media past 9 p.m, you can set a timer for that. If you don't want to only use social media on your lunch break, you can do that. I've also heard a few people talk about the block device, which is crazy. It's basically this block where like you tap your phone and you can't access your social media until you tap it back on the block. So basically you tap the block before you go and leave the house, and then you untap it when you go back in, which I don't think I'll get that, but I kind of understand. Like, I mean, it's actually so crazy how like social media addiction is so like rife that the block device exists, and it's actually like pretty successful. This essentially like stops you from doing like the automatic clicking, which is something which I got into a really bad habit was like automatically clicking on apps without even realizing that I was doing it. And essentially it like breaks you have forming these like app habits or like these app routines. A big thing for me, and again, of course this applies to everyone, I think this is like probably maybe the most important thing, is finding multiple alternatives to scrolling. So a lot of you guys recommended reading. I think this is a great thing. It gets you into such a good habit. Something which I've decided for now is I am not going to do a reading syllabus. I've discussed my reading syllabus on the podcast before. I found that the reading syllabus, as someone who I'm a very slow reader, it actually really demotivated me because I felt like I could never finish the books on time, and then it made me not want to pick them up. It made reading honestly seem a little bit daunting. Now that I've sacked off the reading syllabus, I decided to just pick up a really big book and like not even whenever I want to scroll, but basically just like have this book on me at all times. And if I do ever get that itch, just pick up the book and read a couple of pages. I am reading Caledonian Road by Andrew O'Hagan. I'm literally only really at the beginning, but it's such a big book that it feels like I'm like chipping away at it, and it kind of feels like really like good. Like I can't explain it. It's kind of weird. Like I feel like whenever I read a book, when I start to get towards the end, that's when I like lose the motivation because I just want to finish it. So I'm trying to sort of like shake off that habit and like that desire to like essentially have like finish books and just like chip away at something for the sake of reading. I didn't see anyone mention this in my messages, but I actually think it's a really good idea. And it is curate your own long form For You page via your YouTube Watch Later tab. If YouTube Watch Later has 0 fans, I'm dead. So basically, I find that like the thing that I sort of drawn to when it comes to the For You page is that sort of entertainment aspect. But I found that like the kickback in turn was I was using it to procrastinate. It was like frying my attention span, frying my memory. I didn't remember anything that I was watching. It wasn't like, I felt like I wasn't watching a lot of stuff of value. So I've decided to curate my own long form For You page. So whenever I see a video that I like on YouTube or that I want to watch, I add it straight to my watch later. And then whenever I sort of get that itch to go on my For You page, or if it's the evening, I don't even choose the video because again, that's sort of like that decision paralysis I find quite difficult. I just click on the first one and I just slowly go through it. And this is the thing, if I'm not enjoying a video after a few minutes, I'll just like delete it from the watch later and move on. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to sit through these videos and like force yourself to watch these videos. But I find that having this like curated long form For You page is like doing me so many favors. And I really like the fact that it's on my desktop, like it's on my laptop. So I can't just like scroll. It's like completely hands-free. I feel like I can really like concentrate. And again, it just slows everything down, which I think is like such an important thing for me, is I really, really want to slow down. Also, another sort of alternative to scrolling is picking up a hobby. So obviously I'm starting DJing. A lot of you guys recommended, things like crocheting, knitting, drawing, writing. Obviously I'm starting DJing, and if depending on how this vlog goes, I would love to start vlogging and like start editing my vlogs, because obviously YouTube was my hobby. I used to love editing videos. I used to love creating videos. So that's like another thing that that's like another hobby that I want to like test the waters, dip my toes into. Also, another thing that you guys said, which I actually thought was a really good idea, was keeping crosswords and puzzles on the go. I think something which I was struggling with a bit was I'm trying to get into the habit of not scrolling on my phone in the morning, as in like first thing, and using my phone to wake me up, instead waking myself up with a book. And I found like the hardest thing is that it's just so much easier to wake up with a screen. Like, do you know what I mean? Because obviously it's like so like invasive in your eyeballs. It's so stimulating. And obviously I'm sort of trying to reverse that like need to have something stimulating to wake myself up. But a lot of you guys said almost the second best thing to stimulating yourself with a phone is stimulating yourself with a crossword puzzle, and keeping a crossword puzzle on your bedside table and starting every day with a crossword or a word search. Also, I think something which is really, really important is making sure your alternatives to scrolling are things that you actually enjoy. So, for example, during my working week, I don't really like reading non-fiction after work, because I feel, this is going to sound slightly insufferable, I am really sorry, but because obviously I read so much non-fiction for my job, I read so much research, and I write a lot during the day, I honestly just feel exhausted. And the last thing I want to do is essentially it's doing more research, right? Is reading nonfiction. So instead, I am now opting to read fiction. And I've also accepted that I'm not always going to be in the mood to read. And that's where my TV shows come in. That's where my YouTube videos and my little curated For You page comes in. My like long form For You page, I mean. As I said, my goal isn't to completely stop using social media. My goal is to do so intentionally and not let short form social media usage impact my ability to consume long form content. I think that was like the big thing I was noticing, was how much this short form content economy was like having a massive impact on the way that I could view long form content. And you guys know me, I'm a podcaster, I'm a YouTuber, I am a long form girly through and through. I'm always going to be like within like sort of creator influencer world, and they always say like blank first creator, she's a TikTok first creator. I'm always going to be a YouTube first creator. It's my absolute bread and butter. And I think something I was noticing was just how much short form content was impacting my love for long form content. This is like a really easy one, but I think it's good. Keeping your phone in a different room. I always keep my phone in my bag when I hang out with my friends. I find it's the best thing to do. Also, another thing is to stop bringing your phone with you everywhere. So things like going to the bathroom. Guys, I went to the toilet today and I didn't use my phone on the toilet. I'm so proud of myself. But also when you cook in the kitchen. And essentially also another thing that you guys said is get used to not being stimulated by your phone. So for example, eat without watching anything. I've seen a few people say go on walks without headphones. This is something that I actually don't entirely agree with, because I mean, again, this is something that you want to do, totally go ahead. But I guess my thing is it's not necessarily like I want to get used to necessarily being bored. I definitely want to break my need to constantly be entertained, but I don't think there's anything wrong with just always having something on, like always having a podcast episode on, always having a, music on. Because at the end of the day, guys, our parents, our grandparents, they've been listening to the radio for years. Do you know what I mean? It's very normal for there to be sounds and flowing through life, like flowing through buildings. Do you know what I mean? Flowing through homes, for God damn it. But I do think maybe eating without watching TV might be not a bad idea. And this is the thing, I don't think I'm going to do walks without headphones, because walking and listening to music is something I really enjoy, and it's something that's a very important part of my day. It really, really helps me decompress, just sticking a set on and, commuting to and from work for an hour, like maybe my favorite part of my day. A few of you guys said staring into space and just being bored, which is essentially meditating, isn't it? Getting comfortable with silence / a lack of stimulation / being bored / being alone with your own thoughts. I think the way that I'm sort of, adding this into my life is that, for example, as I said, when I do my makeup, if there's like, whenever I need to take like a little break, just sit with it and sit with it and listen to the podcast that I'm listening to. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to always be like visually stimulated at all times. This is something that I really, really want to start doing, and it is no using your phone first thing in the morning or past 9 p.m. charging your phone away from your bed, switching to an alarm clock over using the alarm on your phone, and also having your phone on do not disturb so you don't get like bombarded with notifications first thing. I will say, I think the thing that I'm actually going to find the hardest about this is not using my phone past 9 p.m. I didn't use my phone this morning apart from, as in like first thing I woke myself up with a book, and then I didn't go on my phone and reply to messages. I've been up since about 6:30, so I didn't reply to messages till about 8:30. So that's pretty good going. Like I'm pretty happy with that. I think the thing I'm going to find the hardest is not using my phone past 9 p.m. because I do like, you know, texting people. Like, it's so stupid. So I think that's the thing I'm going to struggle with the most. So I'm not going to implement that yet. Again, I don't want to do too much because if I can't achieve it, then that's going to make me demotivated. But one thing which I actually didn't see a lot of you guys say, but it's something which I am picking up, is I've actually ordered myself a watch. I find that the thing that like makes me sort of locks me into my phone a little bit is when I check the time and I see that I've got a notification, I sort of automatically click on it. I've ordered myself like one of those little Casio, like digital, like silver digital watches. Another thing that a couple of you guys said, because obviously like a lot of you guys know I have to use my phone for work, is having a work phone and a personal phone, and essentially no social media apps on the personal phone. It's not a bad idea, but it's just something that I feel like I can do this without two phones. It's the thing, I don't need more screens. And it's the thing, when it comes to like, circling back to the not using your phone past 9 p.m. Another thing is that I'm not really doing this episode is I don't want to demonize screen usage, because I'm not being funny. When I go to bed every night, I put on a lovely peaceful vlog. I put on a nice little podcast episode. I don't think screens are all bad. I don't think using a screen before bed is all bad. My sort of gripe isn't with the screen, it's with the short form content and the way that it's affecting my attention span, my memory, and the way that I engage with long form content, and the fact that it's just making everything so fast, and I just want to slow down, and I want to stop wasting my time using an app where I don't even remember any of the things that I've just seen. And I love this tip. Someone said chaining your phone to the wall and only being able to use it landline style. That is maybe genius, but again, not going to pick that one up, but I do love that. Another one of you guys said switching out your phone for a brick phone. I'm pretty sure Catherine Shannon on Substack did this, and she's still doing this, and she says it's like one of the best things that she's ever done. Again, this isn't going to be something that I do, but I'm pretty sure Eddie Burbank did a video about it as well, so I actually might watch it. Another thing you guys said was do not disturb and airplane mode. I find that do not disturb actually doesn't work for me, because it actually makes me check my phone more, because I end up picking it up to check my notifications, you know, work notifications, stuff like that. But, you know, something which I don't think is a bad tip is turning off notifications for apps you don't need notifications for. You know, I think that like phones feel so noisy, and like I think something which I have done this weekend is I've decluttered my apps, and I've made like essentially my home page, my first page, all of the apps that I like use and need, things like, you know, WhatsApp, again, Instagram, TikTok, like for work stuff, but like I basically just decluttered it, like my banking app, like, do you know what I mean? To like make it seem less noisy, less overstimulating. A few of you guys said to pick up a hands-on hobby which you love, and again, it sort of keeps your hands busy when it comes to that desire to scroll, so things like drawing, crocheting. Obviously I'm picking up DJing. Another thing, use a fidget toy whilst watching long form content to sort of again keep your hands busy, because obviously you'd be used to scrolling. Instead of morning TikTok or Instagram scrolls, set morning publications / podcasts. So what I am currently doing, my friend Faye recommended the Guardian Today in Focus podcast. They upload a half-an-hour episode every day about a different news story. That's what I have been doing recently, and I much prefer it to my morning scroll. At the moment, this is the habit I'm trying to implement. 20 minutes reading, shower. I do about maybe one or two of the Guardian Today in Focus episodes, and that's sort of like I guess that sort of fills the itch of my morning scroll. And then when I get to work on my desktop, I just check I almost have like a bit of a routine of publications, which again, this routine will hopefully replace my sort of like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter routine, which is I basically do like The Atlantic, Dazed, and that's another one that I do as well, and Substack, and I have a look at Substack articles as well. And again, I don't necessarily have to like go through reading all of them. It's just good to like have a look and see what people are talking about. This one is actually, when I first read this, I was like, it's wackadoodle time. I was like, it is wackadoodle time, but this is genius. Turning your phone into black and white mode. When I first heard about this, I was like, not sure. But again, I listened to Alex, I believe her name's Alex Zen's podcast, and she was saying how your phone becomes the least interesting thing in the room. because everything is so colorful and bright, and essentially your phone just becomes so boring that you don't even want to use it. Again, unfortunately, this won't entirely work for me because I do have to use my phone for social media. I can just switch the black and white mode on and off, but I feel like I just switch it back on. Do you know what I mean? I have no willpower sometimes. Some of you guys said keep yourself busy, make sure you've got plans. I feel like, again, booking in plans with my friends is number one for me because that's the thing that gets me off my phone the most. Someone said buy a child's smartphone because it literally is like so difficult to use and so small. This is another good tip which I'm going to take on, which is training yourself to only consume one media at a time. Basically, no scrolling on your phone whilst watching TV, especially when you watch TV, leaving your phone in the other room. One of you guys said only allowing yourself to charge your phone once a day, and then if the phone dies, that's on you. You can't use it anymore. I think that's a really good one. One of you guys said calling your mum as a replacement behavior for scrolling. This is a little bit genius because my mum is actually an integral part of my procrastination routine. I have a procrastination routine when I go to work, because I take my medication as soon as I get to work rather than in the morning at home, because my medication makes me need to poop and I really don't want to shit myself on the train. I don't want to shit myself on the tube, guys. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the commuters. But yes, a part of that routine when I do my little procrastination and waiting for the medication to kick in is to ring my mum. There's actually a new trend at the moment which I absolutely love, which is setting a personal curriculum. This is like basically the trend to like counter brain rot, and basically it's just researching things for fun. I absolutely love this. And again, I would do this, but obviously I research so much for work and like that's so fun anyway. Someone said having a baby. Real. One of you guys said the more that you don't use it, the less you want to use it. And I think that's something that's hopefully going to keep me motivated. A couple of you guys said, setting designated time to reply to your messages, replacing messaging with phone calls and voice notes, again, slowing things down, and also curating your feeds to be long form and engaging. Just to do a little summary. The tips which I personally am going to be taking on are no phone first thing in the morning. I'm not going to pick up past 9 p.m. yet, but that is something I would love to do. And basically almost have designated scrolling times, which would maybe be late morning, lunchtime, once in the evening if I feel like it. And basically replace my scrolling with reading, watching YouTube videos, again, going on that homemade long form For You page in my watch later tab. I want to keep my phone in a different room. During work hours, I want to try and only answer my messages on my desktop. Again, this isn't the most easy thing, especially if I'm out and about. But I think if I'm at my desk, it will, again, stop me from going on my phone. And again, it will make me feel like I'm being productive and not just sat on my phone. And also, I think a big thing for me is having my morning content routine, again, to replace that scrolling. So when I first wake up, reading a book for 20 minutes. And then when I'm sat doing my skincare, put on a half an hour long, Today in Focus podcast episode. And then when I get to work, go on my 3 or 4 publications that I want to check and just see what people are talking about. Those are going to be the things that I take on. I would love to know if you guys are coming on this journey with me, what you guys are going to take on. There are a few questions I have. There are a few questions that I, want to raise. And if anybody else on here who's broken their phone habits, please let me know if you have the answers to these. Number 1, when will this stop being hard, and will this ever stop being hard? I'm not necessarily finding it super hard, but it definitely isn't easy. And at the moment, I'm feeling just particularly restless, and it's very ugh. And then another thing is, can I ever relapse? And what I mean by that is, for example, if I'm really hungover, if I spend, basically all day in bed on TikTok, is that going to reverse all of the work that I've done? That's what I'm really, really curious to know. Will I ever be able to spend an excessive amount of time on TikTok just for one day? And if so, will that totally reverse all of my work? But yes, oh my God, this has been such a long episode. I'm so excited to upload this. I'm so excited to see what you guys think. But I really, really hope that you guys enjoyed this. And I would love to know if you guys are coming on this journey with me of breaking our phone addictions. I want to get ahead of the new year, and I'm going to keep you guys all updated on my Instagram. And I am also going to hopefully upload a vlog onto this channel, which, you guys, a little extra content treat. Aren't you so lucky? But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is so fun to record. I'm getting really dazed and stuff.